Last night delivered a moment that fans of NCIS will not forget anytime soon. It wasn't just another episode. It wasn't just another case. It was something far deeper, something emotional, something that hit millions of viewers in a way that very few television moments ever do. For longtime fans, it felt almost unreal, like something that shouldn't have happened, and yet, it did. The 500th episode of NCIS, a show that has defined crime television for decades, brought with it a shocking twist that changed everything. At the center of it all was Leon Vance, the strong, steady, and respected director of the agency, played by Rocky Carroll. What started as a tense investigation quickly spiraled into something much more dangerous. There was a sense early on that something was off. The threats didn't feel polished. It didn't feel like the work of a mastermind. Instead, it felt rushed, almost like a last-minute setup. But as the story unfolded, it became clear that the danger was very real. And in the middle of that chaos stood Leon Vance, a man who had always been the backbone of the agency, a leader who made the hard decisions, a protector who always put his team first. Then came the moment no one expected. In a shocking turn of events, Vance made the ultimate sacrifice. He gave his life to save the agency, to protect the people he had worked alongside for years, and to ensure that the mission of NCIS continued. It was sudden, it was powerful, and it left fans completely stunned. For many, it felt like losing a part of the show itself, because Vance wasn't just another character, he was a symbol of leadership, strength, and stability. While fans around the world were just beginning to process what had happened, Rocky Carroll had already been living with this reality for months. The news of his character's fate had been kept under tight wraps, known only to a small group of people within CBS and the NCIS production team. For him, it was a secret that he had to carry quietly, even as he continued working on the show. When the episode finally aired, his phone started ringing non-stop. Friends, fans, and colleagues all had the same reaction: shock, confusion, and disbelief. When Rocky Carroll first heard about the storyline, it didn't fully register. The showrunner, Stephen D. Binder, approached him with what he described as a bold idea for the 500th episode. He explained that they wanted something memorable, something that would leave fans talking, something that would truly honor the milestone. As he began to outline the story, everything seemed like a typical high-stakes plot, until he reached the part where Vance sacrifices himself. In that moment, everything changed. According to Rocky Carroll, hearing those words felt like an out-of-body experience. It was as if time slowed down. He even asked to hear that part again, just to make sure he understood correctly. Because deep down, he knew what it meant. This wasn't just a dramatic twist. This was the end of a journey that had lasted nearly 2 decades. What makes this moment even more powerful is the fact that Leon Vance was never originally meant to be such a central character. When he was first introduced, he was supposed to appear occasionally, serving as a supporting figure within the agency. But over time, something changed. The character evolved. The performance of Rocky Carroll brought depth, authority, and authenticity to the role. Slowly but surely, Vance became an essential part of the show. He wasn't just a director, he was a leader that fans trusted. He was someone who could stand toe-to-toe with Leroy Jethro Gibbs, played by Mark Harmon, and command respect. Their dynamic became one of the defining elements of NCIS, adding layers of tension, respect, and mutual understanding to the show. Interestingly, Rocky Carroll and Mark Harmon already had a connection before NCIS, having worked on Chicago Hope, which helped create that natural chemistry on screen. Over the years, Vance became more than just a character. He became a symbol of representation. As a black man in a position of authority within a major television show, his presence carried significance. It was something that resonated deeply with viewers, especially those who saw themselves reflected in his leadership. Actor Wilmer Valderrama, who later joined the cast, even compared his impact to that of Jackie Robinson, highlighting how important it was to see someone like Vance in such a powerful role. Filming the final episode was an emotional experience, but in a unique way. Interestingly, Rocky Carroll didn't spend much of his time on set with the main cast during those scenes. Instead, many of his moments were shared with guest actors, including one portraying a younger version of Ducky and another representing a symbolic angel of death. This separation may have made it slightly easier to focus on the performance without being overwhelmed by emotion. However, the final day of filming was different. The atmosphere on set was heavy. There was a sense of finality in the air. Crew members who had worked together for years could feel that something significant was ending. Emotions ran high even behind the camera. According to Rocky Carroll, everything that was felt in that room translated directly onto the screen. It wasn't just acting, it was real. One of the most emotional aspects of the episode was its connection to Ducky, the beloved medical examiner played by David McCallum. His passing in 2023 at the age of 90 left a lasting impact on the NCIS family. Including elements that honored his character added another layer of depth to the episode. For Rocky Carroll, those scenes were incredibly personal. The emotions didn't need to be forced. They were genuine, rooted in years of friendship and shared experiences. Looking back, Rocky reflects on his time with NCIS with immense gratitude. When he first joined the show, it was already in its 5th season. At the time, he believed he might only be part of it for a few years. After all, most successful television shows don't last beyond 10 seasons. But NCIS defied expectations. Season after season, it continued to grow, building a loyal fan base and becoming one of the most enduring shows in television history. 18 seasons later, his journey with the show had far exceeded anything he could have imagined. And with that longevity came stability, something rare in the entertainment industry. It allowed him to focus not just on his career, but also on his personal life. He was able to be present as a husband, a father, and a friend, without constantly worrying about finding the next job. Even though his role as Leon Vance has come to an end, Rocky Carroll is not stepping away from NCIS entirely. He will continue to work behind the scenes as a director, contributing to the show in a new and meaningful way. It's a transition that allows him to stay connected to the series while exploring new creative opportunities. Looking ahead, he is excited about what the future holds. With the rise of streaming platforms and new forms of storytelling, there are countless possibilities to explore. He has expressed interest in directing projects beyond television, including independent films. After spending so many years in front of the camera, stepping behind it offers a fresh perspective and a new challenge. At the same time, he also looks forward to enjoying life at a slower pace. Simple pleasures like golf and deep-sea fishing are now part of his plans. After dedicating nearly 2 decades to a single role, it's a well-deserved change of pace. As for the character of Leon Vance, this may not be the final goodbye. In a show like NCIS, characters often live on through flashbacks, memories, and the lasting impact they leave behind. According to Rocky Carroll, there is a strong possibility that fans will see Vance again in some form. His presence is too significant to simply disappear. For fans, this episode serves as a reminder of why NCIS has remained so powerful for so long. It's not just about solving cases, it's about the characters, the relationships, and the emotional connections that develop over time. Losing a character like Vance is difficult, but it also highlights the depth and storytelling strength of the show. In the end, this wasn't just the death of a character, it was the closing of a chapter filled with leadership, sacrifice, and unwavering dedication. And while it's hard to say goodbye, it's also a moment to reflect on everything that made Leon Vance such an unforgettable part of NCIS. For those still processing what happened, you're not alone. Moments like these remind us why we become so invested in stories and characters, because when they're done right, they don't just entertain us, they stay with us.